Okay, so for the rest of the day, I thought we'd review the first three questions of Lab 6. So if you haven't finished them, that's all right. Of course, if you want to, you can work on them in your own time. But for those who are wanting to look at solutions, I figured we'd have some people demonstrate what they wrote for them. So first one, does anyone want to volunteer their solution for getting a list of all elements found in a list twice with a complexity of O(n)?
Zach, are we not reviewing lab 5, like dictionary?
Yeah, we can look briefly at lab 5. I'm just trying to think of the amount of time we should put on each. Were there any questions in lab 5 particularly that you weren't sure of?
No. Just wanted to see how you did it.
I think one I would actually like to look at quickly is iterating over lists or iterating over dictionaries, because I feel like that's a bit of a strange one. And one thing I realized I left out of most of the lab text is that almost all of these methods will need to take the dictionary as an argument. In a more realistic example, this would be a class of its own. So we would have that as a class property rather than an argument for each of these methods. But for right now, we'll just use them as an argument. So probably the most important one I would say here is the idea of adding a vehicle to our car park. That's going to require a validate license method, and I can go over that as well. And I want to make sure this is actually I probably shouldn't use this. I was talking to Mohammed how I use a fair bit of link methods. So we're going to avoid link methods for now. Which is not a big deal. So first we validate our license, and we're going to use this key value pair iteration. So what this is basically doing is instead of just iterating over a list, which obviously has a single value for each index, in a dictionary, we of course have pairs. So we have so when we iterate, we want to treat each of these pairs as a single object. So that's why we use the key value pair here. And then we just use key value pair of that value to refer to the vehicle. And we use key to refer to the car, to the number. And then if I want to refer to the actual dictionary place, so if I want to say, initially I have number 1 as my key. If I say car park, key value pair dot key, which will be 1, we'll change that to whatever license we pass in. When it comes to validation, first thing I did is validate if the number is 7 characters long before splitting it into halves using the split method. It's a string method, and splitting it on the dash here. And again, this .all is actually a link method. So what I would want to do is first verify that if the length is not 3, then we return false. Else if
Zach, I'm sorry. Would you let some of us record this?
I don't know. I think I'd actually have to. I don't know if there's like a policy or anything about recording. I've never actually dealt with that at all.
Sorry?
I don't know if I've ever actually handled, like, I don't know if there's policy around recording or anything like that.
Oh, so like no recording? Okay. I'll
I'll
try
just say
to remember.
for now until I talk. I'll post this up.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. That's good
I
enough.
know recording might be like a school policy thing. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, I'll talk to Mohammed about that to see if that's all right. Okay, so sorry. So first we divided into halves. We split. I then want to make sure each half is a length of 3, because if it's not, then we know that the dash here is in the wrong spot. So then we return false. Otherwise, I want to iterate through all the characters. Notice if this is a character method, so these digits are a letter. So I want to say if that is not the case. And we also return false. Where things get a bit tricky. So this whole if goes down to return false here. And I'm basically just running it through a couple of validations to hit false every time, break out of the method. And if none of those occur, then we return true. But to prevent things from occurring, if we hit that first validation error, then we return false at the end. Because if the number is not 7, then we shouldn't validate any of it, shouldn't waste the time. So this gets a bit convoluted because it's all put into a series of if statements. And if once you start getting into link methods, you will with Mohammed in the next unit, that simplifies this a fair bit because we can turn these for each statements into something a bit simpler, something a bit easier to read. But yeah, just basically breaking down the string and testing each half. I believe that's, yeah, those are the two most important ones. I think the rest, like vacate and initialize. Initialize is where we just iterate over the keys for each object of capacity and then return the new object. Are there any questions about these methods here? I'll post this up so you can review them because I know this one especially is a bit hard to read. So you might want to break this down a bit further. The reason I keep doing these return falses here instead of having it return true at some point is just because I want to be able to stop validating if I hit an error at any point, rather than waiting for them all to be true at the end and then returning true.
And then you call that method inside your other method? Or sorry.
Yeah, this is actually, so this method is not required, but I did create it because I want to use it for example, add vehicle. So the first thing I want to do before doing anything is I just want to validate that that license is correct. And if it's not, just stop. And then, so I wanted an integer return for that one. Returning -1 is a pretty common substitute for returning a Boolean. So I basically, if this is successful, then I return the spot in the park that it got. And if I don't hit any, then I return -1 because, of course, there can be no -1 parking stall. I think that's called a, I can't remember what that's called. I think it's called a sentinel value. Weird name. Anyway, so yeah, I'll post these up. But that's fairly straightforward for the dictionary stuff. That's not a super realistic example of using a dictionary since we'd probably just use a class in this case instead. But it's just an example of how that key value pair can be used. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Millie, you said you had the first question for number 6 done, yes?
for number 6?
Yeah, for number 6.
I'm sure it's right. Share my screen.
Yeah,
Or-
go ahead. I'm having a bit of a hard time hearing you.
No, I don't have just what
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was having a bit of time understanding.
I can. I don't have problem with sharing my screen, but maybe it is better if you are going through questions. If you have solutions, you have already prepared, or
Sorry, I'm still having a little hard time understanding you.
do you have already prepared solutions as for lab 5, or
Yeah, I'm gonna put up a solution for number 5.
no, for lab 6? Sorry, do you have solutions already prepared?
I do, yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe then it's better that you're going through your solution.
Okay, fair enough.
It is a little hard to hear you, Zach.
Okay, do I have to? I'm gonna yell a little bit then. This mic is not very sensitive. Okay, let's go to number 6.
It's like you're talking through something, like through a wall.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay. Let me test a different one here. Does this one work? As opposed to this one.
The first one sounded better, I think, than the second one.
Okay, let's try this one.
Yeah. Yes.
Good.
Man, I spent way too much money on this headset.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so yeah, number 6. So I can go over the first one. And the first one is a bit unusual because the traditional question will be to return a hash set. Sorry, not to return a hash set. What am I trying to say here?
List?
To remove. It'll be to remove doubles. So this is a bit different from the typical question. But similarly, this is just using a hash set to remove doubles. And if you can remember from our discussions on complexity, so one of the great things about hash sets is, first off, they are a set, so they have no double values inside of them. And because they're indexed, we can use a contains method on them, and that has an ON complexity. So instead of using a loop to iterate over this entire set, if I do a dot contains here, that has a single ON, that just has an ON complexity. That's not ON1, or sorry, that's not ON squared to use inside of this for each. So here I'm just creating a hash set that is going to copy over from my list. I think I accidentally deleted this here, but I just did it for each. Oh no, I got rid of that copy, never mind, because I stopped. 2 different ways of doing this. So I just have a hash set of which we're going to be adding to. And I have another hash set that's going to be listing the doubles. I have this as, I'll show you why. So I'm just iterating over this list. I'm saying if this list set contains, if this hash set already contains what I'm on in the list, I instead add it to doubles. The reason doubles is also a hash set is because if I have 3 2s, something like that, then I'll still only have the 1 if I try to add it. So if I've got one, I hit the first one, and I'll add this to doubles. or sorry, I'll add this to the list set. I hit the second one, and I see that it's already in here, and I can do that on doc contains. It still has ON complexity. I can see it's in there, so instead I'll add it to the doubles list. And then I do the same for each of these. So the normal list builds up. The first hash set builds up, but the second one just contains the single one. So that's a fairly straightforward use of hash sets, and that is a common thing that we'll use hash sets for, is to eliminate doubles, with the added bonus of having less complexity, so faster if we want to use a contains, but we don't necessarily want to use a dictionary because we don't have a need for key value pairs. You'll typically see hash sets a lot less than key value pairs, or sorry, than dictionaries, because they just have less functionality than dictionaries, but you will see them in some cases. We actually do see a fair bit of them in passwords, which we'll get into later.
Zach, sorry. It sounds like you're getting louder and quieter over it. I'm sorry. I'm being a pain in the ass. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, no, that's so. I wonder if this microphone is automatically.
Like the end of your sentence just now was like whispering, and the beginning was like loud. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'll have to get you for like the end of the class. We got John a camera. We'll have to get you like speaker.
So I noticed that it'll do that because the whole reason I got the headset was because it does that, but the headset's the headset's volume is more consistent, but it also but it's not as good sound quality, whereas the laptop microphone is better quality, but it fades in and out.
Okay.
So
Is your microphone setting automatically like volume adjustment?
I'm trying to see that right now to find if it has automatic.
Okay. So you could go to audio settings in the
Okay. I'm going to fiddle around a little bit with that, but in the meantime, all right, so Sule, you were going to show us your solution to question 2.
Okay, I have a question about the one. The question found at least twice. I think it's more than twice.
Yeah, so what I realized is it is if the list has more than 2,
yeah,
has 3, for example, that's why I did a hash set to collect the doubles. Because I only want to really be, I don't want the doubles list to have doubles. But fortunately, I'll actually put it back up here. So at the end, it's really easy to cast different collections to each other. I just use a doubles.to list to return a list. But the reason I'm using a hash set here is because if I find this more than once and I try to add it to a hash set, you'll see that there are 2 and not added.
What about if appears 3 times?
It'll still only happen once. Or it'll still.
Sorry?
Did we lose Zach? Did he freeze?
Yeah, it's free. It's me?
Bye, Zach.
Okay.
No, it's everyone. Zach's black now. No. Hey, is this just me or does anyone else have the same problem? So my mouse, the touchpad, it moves like really slowly, or I just lose control of it when I'm running the Zoom or the Visual Studio at the same time.
have that problem.
No problem.
No.
I think it's with the Mac, right? You're using the Mac, right?
I'm using what?
You're using your Mac, right? You're running Bootcamp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the same problem.
Okay. So I'm using this bootcamp and moved to Windows. Maybe that's why. Do I
Yeah,
have to use a mouse and not the touchpad?
yeah, I have a
Like
separate
I
mouse
said,
I'm using. So yeah.
Thank you. I'll change that. And Jen, thank you for allowing me to record. But like, since you're the host now, but I'm not gonna record. I don't want to get you into any troubles.
But before I get back, does anyone else want permission?
No, Jen, it's okay. As long
Where
as
is
Jack
Jack?
goes to his solutions, I'm fine. Because Jen is host now. When Jack's out,
Yeah.
she got the power, man. We can all record.
Oh, Zach is writing on Discord. But the like,
I think his internet has a problem.
Yeah.
Huh.
He must be very frustrated right now in a very, calm monotone. Oh, this is not happening, Okay. This is fun. Is anyone else like freaking out about the assignment? I am. I forgot to
I
come
am.
into this lab. Yeah, I forgot to come into this lab because I was thinking about it. I was researching like what should I be using for this, and then
I think for the assignment though, like just don't get into your own head about it, right? Like Mohammed said, think about it like you're a person, right? I mean, you are a person. Think about it like a person who's trying to organize how much things cost and the dictionary and stuff. Like, you got this. You're good. You're okay.
I'm reading what Mohammed has asked Zach.
Oh, back is back.
Dax back. Hi, Zach.
Hey, everyone.
Good to see you.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to figure out a more consistent way to do this because this clearly is not working. So I sincerely apologize for any problems I've been having.
While you're away, I gave everyone permission to record. So if anyone gets in trouble, it's my fault.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I'm not gonna record. No, it's okay. But it was just fun to watch.
Oh man.
I'd still like to record though.
Yeah, I'll find out about if there's any sort of school policy on that because I know that kind of stuff gets a bit tricky with.
John used to let us all the time.
Okay, well, John's more photogenic than me.
Okay.
So what was I looking at? Okay. So yeah, Sule, if you would be able to show us your
I can't share my screen.
did it? Oh, jeez. Okay, now you should be able to. Oh, that's better than mine. So can you explain us what's going on in line 52? Because I think 49 to 50 is pretty self-explanatory.
If the number more than 10, that means the last number in the right. Yeah. And when the results plus 10 means the whole number left, how do we explain, to the left, and
Yes.
then in add.
So what we're basically doing is we're adding the 0 onto our result. And then we're adding to that the final digit of the original number, because obviously a single digit number modulus 10 is itself.
Yeah.
Because the remainder will be its own self. And then number equals number divided by 10 just chops off the end of the original. Did you look for help with a solution, or did you think of this on your own?
I'm searched and to think about it. Yeah, because there's no tools to, we can't use the list or strings. We have to use the mathematic and to solve this.
The modulus 10 is a common trick to get the first integer. It's very nicely written. Did anybody have any wildly different solutions, or is this what most people's look like?
I didn't finish. So mine's gonna look like that now.
Okay.
Thanks, Louis.
Okay, thank you, Soleil. Does anybody have a solution for, got about 10 minutes. Does anybody have a solution for finding the longest common prefix in a string, or a series of strings? Anybody able to finish this one?
Finished.
Soleil, you got this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to show us your solution for that one as well?
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. So
At first, I use the compare to use the first one, the list the first one to compare. And how to explain? Let me think about it.
So why a hash set rather than a list on 64?
Let's use one. And then think about it. I do it yesterday. Compare. Why I use?
Why not? Like, why wouldn't he use a hash set?
So
yeah. I use here. Yeah. So I have to store the chart, the letter in the hash set.
Okay.
And if I count when I can use when I after compare and I try to add into the hash set, if I can add it, it returns true. This will return true.
Okay,
And if it return true, if it return true means the different letter, and it will return. I mean, this rate just to substring to stop in the I.
The only the only thing I did differently is I avoided using a hash set, because if your prefix has two of the same letter, it will prevent it from adding it.
Yeah, that's the same. That's same. If it can add, then it means the different letter. When I use for loop to add every character, that means compare I. That means the letter of this one. I don't know how to explain it.
Oh, I know. I understand. Yeah, it's hard to explain these.
Yeah.
Character HS.
Let's think about this example.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you copy that down in a comment, and we can look at it.
Okay. I use first. I use is this? Oh, no, no, it's not here. First, the first one is Daisy. So I use it to compare.
Okay.
Uh,
Compare equals days.
when I equals 0, that means D.
Mhm.
The first one, then in the hash set, the first, when I first add it is D. In this first loop, in I equals 0, it means in the hash set, there's a D.
Mhm.
So the other for loop is to loop the list to other strings, means from 1 to the end. So these three.
Okay.
Um,
So in the second loop, we have DAIY, let's say.
yeah. This one, if this length less than I, means this one means if there's nothing, or the last one is smaller than the length. That means I only need to substring to this one. Maybe this one, and the last is throw away. Means no to compare.
Okay.
And if else, I try to add the list. Maybe the J is the one. Maybe this one. List J means this word, and I means the first one. That means D.
First character. Okay.
Yeah, first character. And if I can add, that means it's not D. It's not D, just a return substring. Maybe if I count, if it's D, this is false. Then right?
Yeah. So if you try to add
Yeah,
same letter twice.
Yeah, same letter is false. Yeah, if it's not the same letter, so it's true. When it's true, that means it's not D. It's not the letter D. So it will be stop here, stop in the I.
Okay.
So yeah.
So what will what will be the output for this function if you run it on the list you provided?
This one. Is that right? If I change this to I, the third one.
Oh, of course, we can't see the console. So it'll give you DAI? DAI?
Yeah, sorry, I will share screen. It's first is DA, the first two letters. If you can change it to the third, it stop here.
Would you mind posting your solution? I'd be really interested to debug it and see. I'd really like to dig into it.
Okay.
I'd appreciate that because that's a very interesting solution. I've never seen anything like that before.
Okay. This one. Last question I finished.
The merge lists?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll actually go over the the list merge and the other question tomorrow, or sorry, on Monday, because that brings up a pretty big topic.
I'll push my solution in the Slack.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see that.
Okay.
Delay. What will happen with your solution if we have words which starting with, for example, ADD? I don't know.
What does it mean?
If two letters are one by each other, you know, the same letters, because you are putting in hash set, would it be fine? I don't know, Zach.
Oh, yeah. I initialize the hash set when use the for, when use every letter use
every letter
new,
for hash set.
You use no new.
Oh, okay, just for character. Oh, okay.
That's very interesting. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for showing us your solutions today. So Monday we'll be discussing, I'm sure everybody, or at least most people, looked at the hint. So we'll be talking about binary searching. And we'll be talking about the last question as well. Sorry if it's fluctuating a lot still. If you had any trouble with these, I'd say spend tonight doing some practice with algorithms for tomorrow. Bring a pen and paper, and yeah, best of luck. I'm sure you guys will do great. Are there any more questions before we sign off today?
I plan to review all our labs and those questions. If I have any questions, that will probably be very late. Would you be open to, I don't know, looking at it when you can? Like,
yeah,
I'll probably send you something on like 3 a.m. or something. It could be like tomorrow before class, or.
I'll have a look in the morning.
Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
I'll try to keep them very brief.
Fair enough. Okay then. Well, in that case, as I mentioned, there will be no lab tomorrow. So I'll also be here on the, some people were asking for help on the weekend. So I'll be online for at least a few hours each day on the weekend if anyone has help. As for help regarding the assignment. But other than that, good luck on your test and then have a good weekend.
Thanks, Zach. You too.
I'll hopefully have my online issues resolved by then, so things will be running a bit smoother.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.